broadcasting alive from the Green Room Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the At Home Show with Josh Carey and David Bates, celebrating 25 years of home and garden wisdom. Without further ado, your hosts, Josh Carey and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody.
Hey, welcome to
Saturday morning, David Bates.
Hey,
it's time to do the At-Home Show.
It is indeed. Once again, we're both presented with this opportunity,
Yes.
and we've been doing it for a pretty good while now.
Parts of 2 centuries.
Yeah,
4 decades.
2 millennium.
2 millennia.
Yeah.
So,
So
long time, man.
long time. 2 millennium is it's actually so long it's even hard to say. 2
2
millennium.
millennium. We go back to analog.
We do.
We do.
We had to, that's back. We go back so far that you could say counterclockwise, and it actually meant something to somebody.
Yes, it did.
All right. Well, welcome in,
Reel-to-reel
everyone.
tapes.
We're gonna discuss briefly about our weather conditions here. We're expecting today, and by the way, we got most of the rain out of the way yesterday, and we got the radio check there, so we got that out of the way.
Yep.
So
Tyler.
Hey, Tyler.
Wow.
Okay,
I'll take one today.
All right. Anyway, 83 degrees for the high today. Some isolated thunderstorms. It's that time of year.
It is.
This time last year, we conversely were in the upper 80s to low 90s consistently, and it was rather dry. So we are.
Yes.
This is really a much better weather curve that we're on currently. 83 today, 66 for the overnight low, 84 tomorrow, 80 on Monday and Tuesday, 79 Wednesday. So a little cooling trend with drier conditions through the early part of the week, and then the chance for scattered showers returns Thursday, Friday next week. But, generally our temperature range is quite mild for the now middle of May, which is what we're essentially
Very seasonal.
It's wonderful. 65 degrees currently here in the green room. Not in the green room. It's probably warmer than that in here outside the green room here at Bates Nursery.
You ever notice that the walls are actually blue in the green room?
Well, there's some green down. It's down below,
okay.
but that's for contrast purposes. Everything else we have in here is green. It just looks too much the same. 1.3 inches of rain yesterday. We're now approaching 22 inches for the year. So,
yeah, buddy.
So we are not dry. Give you a quick look at the radar there, and you can see there's a little spot right out there out west of Nashville, so you can see where those isolated thunderstorms might arise. There's been a lot of really significantly turbulent weather out to the west. Oklahoma, Kansas, they've all had both had major tornadic activity and flooding in Texas. So you might not be thrilled with the weather we're having. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you're not, there is always somebody who's got it a bit worse. So anyway, again, it's here at Bates Nursery Station. It is 65 degrees. We appreciate you tuning in this morning, and I think it's time for us to welcome in the entirety of our staff. We've already heard from Tyler. Good morning, Tyler.
Good morning. Not in the way I'd like.
Well, it happens. And of course, across the way we have our capable, more than capable, our staff of horticultural experts and wonderful conversationalists, Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen. Welcome in, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we'll just give a big shout out to Davis Nolan. Davis was in here.
Was he really?
This week, and got to visit with him for a few minutes. It has been, as I told Davis, it seems like it's been maybe 40 years and pounds ago that since we've seen each other. So
What'd he buy?
he was actually doing a segment with Austin, so I don't know what that segment was. But
It was a News Channel 2 thing about the freeze and stuff like we've been talking about nonstop. So.
Yeah, we've kind of mentioned it a time or two.
Yeah, just a few. But yeah, he came out and we talked about. We went to your house over there, David, and looked at the Cuba that I did the very first video on. Whenever it looked so horrible after the freeze, and then now we're seeing new leaf emergence from the ground, and the sticks are dead, so we can go ahead and cut back those sticks, but then watch the new leaves form.
So that'll be the last segment with the dead sticks showing up on those. We'll cut those off, and that's probably the single biggest question people are still looking for. What should I do? I've got And it's really impossible to give a blanket answer that is applicable to everyone as far as how are you going to deal with it. You know, I think we all somewhat subscribe to the theory of addition by subtraction. You know, you either cut them back and give them the time to come out, whatever it happens to be.
Yes.
Or you just remove it, and it looks better just not having the dead thing in there. And even if you don't put anything back in there with any immediacy, I can tell you at my house, taking 5 4x4 boxwoods out and a couple of other overgrown conifers
Right.
really improved the look. I cut back some other things, which are coming back. The Himalayan sweet box, which is now flushing all over. So I'm really grateful for that. It's you know, this is an ongoing period of discovery to try to figure out exactly how everything's going to do. There have been surprises both ways as far as what has received damage and the things that almost had none. Crepe myrtle's kind of at the top of that list, surprisingly little on those. So we perhaps, Josh, have a special segment today, perhaps, I'll say.
Perhaps.
Our longtime friend and former producer, Jim Stevens, world traveler. He is in Ireland today, is that right? Scotland, I mean, not Ireland.
He the way he posed it was that he would be in northwestern England, almost to Scotland.
And he
attending a wedding.
We
over
did,
there.
and he is regaled and attired properly. So we'll be sharing some of that photographic evidence a little bit later
I
on.
wonder if he ran into Chuck and Camilla.
I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Well, let's move right along here.
Let's talk about this
let's
first.
do this. Yes. This is why we kept this poster.
Yes.
This is the second annual Hillsborough West End Garden Tour, and that's going on this weekend right now. So we invite you to go out. Our good friend Miriam Mims, who was here last weekend, and thank you, Miriam, for coming in and just giving your general pleasant, knowledgeable presence is always wonderful. She is just a wonderful person.
She is nice.
So anyway, the garden tour is going on this weekend. Make sure you go out and support that.
1 to 4. So it's going to be today. Would probably be the better day to do it.
Yeah, 1 to 4 is that each
May
of the
14th.
days?
No,
Okay.
it's May 14th is when it
Yes.
says it's going to happen.
So-
Mother's Day.
Yeah, 1 to 4. That would be mañana, tomorrow.
Z.
So,
On Mother's Day. Be a great thing to do.
so yeah, it's a great Mother's Day thing to get to do. So go out there and support. It has some wonderful gardens to get to see. And last year got to take a look, and it was really outstanding. So if you are into gardening, and you know you are because you're watching,
Absolutely.
it's a great opportunity to get to see an historic neighborhood and the gardens that are really,
Historic?
tweaked out. Well, they might be historic. They're really tweaked out,
They're in the historic
maximize.
neighborhood. They're historic.
Well, I guess technically, yes. No matter what they are historic. But
You have
there's
to go before the
everything.
board,
Actually,
the plant.
on a planetary level, everything is historic. You know, on some level, Josh. Whether you have prefaced it with the historical nomenclature or not, really is irrelevant.
That makes us historic.
Well, we could be. All right.
Some
enough
people
of
have
that.
often wanted to put us into the unmarked grave of history.
That is true. Now you can reach out to us, and
Yes.
we do that in real time. We also
Yes.
do that in advance, and you can reach out to us on our social media, either on our Facebook page or Instagram.
Insta.
And we've got some questions lined up for today. But before we get into that,
Yeah, can we get into something else before we get into what it is you're going to get into?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to get into
Yes, I
before
wanted
that?
to get into it.
Okay, well, you
Okay.
take it away,
Are you
Josh. I'll
sure?
just hush
Are you
for
sure?
a moment. Yeah,
Okay.
I can be quiet.
You got that?
It's hard, but I can.
I understand. My 2 daughters are out of town.
Well, there's news.
There's news, but they are celebrating my eldest daughter's bachelorette party, and they don't go woo, folks. They will not be woo girls.
Okay.
But
Did they swear it? Because you know,
you think,
I
Josh.
said
you might
it on
let out a little
Facebook
woo.
that they would not do it.
I have, there's like that drink that occurs that's on which side of the woo you're on.
Woohoo.
So, I'm just saying it can happen.
Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of social media, if you go out to the At Home Show with Josh Carey and David Bates Facebook page, there is a short video that has a QR code where you have an opportunity to support my children in their debauchery in Charleston, South Carolina. So you can buy the bride a drink, and it is what they are calling Eliza's last rodeo, David.
Well, we can only.
You were tagged in this. So.
Okay, well, I am remiss for not staying on top of my social media stuff.
Okay, all right.
I'm fortunate to have a staff of individuals, however, who are very much on top of it.
But
not my personal.
The link is only going to be open for 24 hours, and then it will be shut down. And so this is not a scam; it's legit. So
buy Eliza a drink.
Okay. Buy the bride a drink.
The bride a drink. Okay.
Okay. She's not married yet, though. So is she actually a bride? If you're not,
she's
no bride status.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bride to be.
neophyte. Okay.
Okay.
But
There
they'll
we
have
go.
a good
There's
time.
that. Okay.
Shall we jump in?
Hello,
Let's jump in.
Hello
Jump.
again. Hey, I got to say one word before we go, because I know we talk about a little later on about what's in bloom. The last 2 weeks I've forgotten to talk about this. Kousa Dogwood. That's just all I want to say. Austin, give me some feedback on that one now. Though they are, in the words of Austin, they're money.
Money. Kousa dogwoods are money right now. They're totally so. Kousas are a little bit different than regular dogwoods. They leaf out first, so they've got all their leaves, and then they bloom kind of tucked in amongst those green leaves, and that's what you're seeing. Kind of, Kousas are underused trees for like small little specimen areas. They don't get big.
They are dynamite, though.
They really are, and they're just a lot of times stuck out in the yard, which is fine. You can certainly grow them in the yard, but using them in small spaces inside of a garden bed and tucking other plants around them really is a nice look. So, yeah.
Totally resistant to dogwood anthracnose, so they have
They're
no
super
issue.
clean. Yeah,
They are just a wonderful tree, an understory tree, like you mentioned, stunningly beautiful with that green foliage to backdrop to those white mass of flowers. So beautiful tree. I'm seeing them around my neighborhood a lot. So I needed to say it while I was thinking about it, because I've forgotten it the last 2 weeks.
yeah. They've been pretty for the past 2 weeks. They're really stunning right now. Yep, every bloom is open, so they're nice.
Okay, so that's my input for the show.
That's it right there.
Yep,
we're done.
All right, so let's get into questions. We got some post-freeze questions, but not a ton. They're starting to kind of filter out. A lot of them were about boxwood and where to cut them back. One specific question was, to make it look even, should they cut it back all the way? Will it reflesh? So let's just talk about boxwoods. And also, Austin, let us know what your Justin Browers look like.
They still look the
ready.
same. They still look dead, and that's what I decided to do. So I did have a little bit of sporadic green growth on the boxwoods that I had, but I did want them to get back uniform. So I cut everything back tight in uniform, and they're still leafless. So I'm not sure that I even did the right thing.
So you have no basal breaks at all. You got no
Nothing yet.
sun, nothing emerging.
Nothing yet. No, I know. So like I said, I'm waiting it out for the long haul, but at the moment they look horrible. And boxwoods have been the kicker this year. They're the hard one because they're really slow growing. They're slow to push out new growth. So and they're and you want them to look picture perfect all the way round and clean. That's what we like about them. But whenever you have big brown chunks in them, you kind of feel like, well, I probably need to cut that out, right? It looks bad. Well, yeah, you can do that, but then you're going to be left with a hole, and that hole will fill back out, but it's probably not going to be until like next spring. So
now, have you ever done this? Is the little trick I've learned back in the day about how to take a boxwood that has a big branch that has been killed out in it and bring that in, and you can take string and pull branches together from down low to kind of close it up and then trim it, and it will fill back over very quickly that way. So that's a little trick you can do.
Yes.
But the damage on most boxwoods this year has been much more extensive than just a spot here or there.
Absolutely.
They've been more than half of the plant, sometimes.
Right in front.
Yes.
Always right in front.
So, and I had a question from a couple of different folks this week regarding that, about what should I do? And it's just hard to give somebody an answer but what I can tell you is if you've got to cut them way back, it's going to be 3 years before they look like anything. So even if they are still alive and they put out new growth, do you want to wait that long is the question. For me, I didn't have any big boxes to put back in there, and I'm kind of connected. So, but I got those out of the way, and it looked so much better just not having those dead plants in there. That's the way I chose to deal with it. Others may choose to cut back or be more patient, but or replant with something else. But right now, I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting it be empty.
Yeah, you know what I did is what decided to do, because I've got 14 dead-looking shrubs right in the front of my bed. What I decided to do is get some wave petunias that are really, really spready, sprawly type petunias, for lack of a better term.
Spready, sprawly.
Spready, sprawly.
Yeah.
And I tucked them in right around all of the dead-looking boxwoods. So I got a bunch of them in there, like a whole bunch, and I'm going to let them just fill over, and I'm hoping that they just hide.
They're not going to hide. Those sticks are going to stick
Yes,
up.
they are. No, they're going to hide
Just
over.
spray paint them green.
Yes.
No one will know.
Spray painting nothing green. I planted more to have beauty around the death. Okay.
So
Beauty
dramatic.
around the... That's very dramatic.
You know?
I love it. Putting
Beauty
beauty around
around
the
the
death.
death.
There you go.
All right, so let's get to some more questions.
Okay.
Let's open this phone. All right, iris planted where they get south and west sun did not bloom much this year. Anyone else experiencing this? Should I divide them? They have not been divided in 5 years.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. If you let them clump out and stay too tight, around each other, they steal a lot of, nutrient that they need to bloom. So if you're getting minimal blooms or no blooms at all, that's probably why.
And this is where there's a lot of interesting mathematical axioms in landscaping, and this is where you multiply them by dividing them. And and I already mentioned addition by subtraction. Well, this is where you multiply by dividing, and you will actually have much more to see. I mean, vegetatively, all the foliage and all will be fine, but there's not going to get enough energy. Even if they're in a perfect spot, which they are in a south and west facing. So you got to have to dig them all out and just replant. And then you have gifts to either give to someone or enough to certainly
Put
start
another bed in, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
When would be the best time to do this?
3:30.
Okay, thank you.
Also, but yeah, typically during dormancy. But let's be honest, if you know irises at all, you know that you can't barely kill an iris. So if you need to do it now, do it now. I mean, you ain't gonna hurt an iris.
Yeah, well, you got so much
ain't gonna
stored.
hurt it.
You got so much stored energy in that tuber down there that they really are very forgiving, as long as you just don't get crazy with it.
Cut them in half.
Well, you're going to be doing some
Yeah,
cutting.
you'll cut some.
But there is no half. There's eyes all along the tuber in there. So wherever you cut them, there's going to be remaining eyes, and that still is a whole tuber itself. It's just that these tubers grow and
You're
run
using
out.
math again.
Well, I'm just
Math is
saying.
hard.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, a lot of times you can cut or try to separate your irises and then throw them off in the woods, and then you'll see that they'll just like root and live where you throw them. I mean, you can't barely kill an iris.
Throw them in the woods. Throw them out your window. Make Tennessee prettier.
We got a live one from Horton Monroe
Yep.
Okay.
on YouTube. Question: snails and slugs are attacking my 4x8 lettuce bed. I've heard of the cheap beer trap solution, but haven't tried it yet. How many traps would I need to set up to take care of this
Six-pack.
nemesis?
This is 6-pack
There's
job.
some math.
Yeah.
I tell you, now, Austin don't know because he's never poured any
but-
beer out.
No.
Like that would be wasteful. You don't want.
Right.
You don't. but if it might be a good application to go out and buy some really cheap, poor quality beer because that is an effective way, and it's a very good organic way to deal with them. They will get over in there and over imbibe. They are apparently slugs have a nature about them where I think they get in there and they drown actually, but it's pretty tempting. I don't know. There are slug and snail baits that we do sell seriously,
And they work very well. But in a food crop, what David suggested to me is that you take a top of an old glass jar, instead of spreading it directly onto the soil, put it into strategic places where you have the bait just inside that.
Yeah, and that's perfectly okay to do it that way. We also sell these little clear plastic saucers that are fairly shallow.
Yeah.
So if you do it that way, you won't get it into the desirable crop that you're obviously trying to save. Generally speaking, you're going to have to kind of work at them, and it's a good note to make for next year, because even if you successfully deal with them in this stretch, they'll be back next year. So maybe you can prepare a little bit ahead next year and not have that issue of them getting over in there and chewing your lettuce up. I mean, I don't know why it really matters, because I'm going to chew it up before I eat it anyway. So a few little holes doesn't matter all that much.
That is true.
As long as you don't get the slugger snail in there.
Ew, gross, Josh.
Snail snot.
They get a little crunchy. Don't
A little garlic.
I thought I
French
asked you to
love 'em,
take.
man.
I thought I asked you to not put croutons in there. I didn't.
Yeah.
Y'all are grossing us out.
Escar,
over
go
here.
away.
Gross.
Wash your lettuce.
Escar, go away.
Goodbye.
Tyler. Wow, so early.
A dad
Sorry.
joke on Mother's Day weekend. Okay, very good.
That's all I'll impede.
Yeah, and by the way, happy Mother's Day
Yes.
to all the
Yeah.
mothers out there. It's a very special time of year, and it's really way understating the value of moms to only have a single day. So make sure you don't screw it up this weekend, but by all
By
means,
going on a bachelorette party out of town. Okay.
Ooh.
Who's catching the brunt of this one, girls?
okay,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Okay, we got a question about something that I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's see. Any suggestions for eliminating Carolina snail weed vine? It's already out, and twining up peonies and lily stalks.
Carolina snail weed vine.
Anybody? No.
I've never heard of this.
Time to
Yeah.
time to Google.
I'm just wondering if it isn't actually a
Creeping
parasitic.
Charlie or that.
Well,
No.
No.
David, I know where you're going. That's a
a dither,
daughter.
daughter,
Daughter?
dither,
Dither
What?
daughter.
daughter.
Yes, I have daughters, but it's not that type of
It's
daughter.
D-O, yes, D-O-T-T.
D-O-D-D-E-R.
D-D-E-R,
Yeah,
yes.
the daughter vine. And I wonder if it's that. If it is that, that's pretty cool. That's a whole nother topic in itself. That's a parasitic plant. Hopefully Caroline can get us.
And
I'm trying.
the difficulty, if that's the case, is that if you want to get rid of it, it's almost impossible, because it is a true host type. It is dependent upon a host, and it doesn't give it up easily. You'd have to be able to pick every single
one.
Oh yeah, and it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
I have seen plants that had it so bad it was just easier to remove them, destroy that, and replant. So
Well, we did find what they're talking about. It does look like a kind of a flowering vine. Somewhat,
cute.
Yeah, somewhat resembling morning glory a little bit, but it looks like it's pretty aggressive. So, hand pulling as much as you can pull to get them out is going to be a good, effective method. If you have to use Roundup, do it, but be, careful with it.
This would be a good case where you pull the vine back and then wick the glyphosate onto it.
Wick or work at very low
Yeah.
pressure, and this is an important thing for people to understand. It's very tempting, and the mistake is so often made when applying herbicides of any kind is
See?
to over pressurize your sprayer and to work at a fog. You want to do neither of those things. You want to work at low pressure and make the droplet size large. So you want to have it kind of in a fan, kind of a narrow fan, not a straight stream, but where you've got larger droplet
Goldilocks.
size.
You want it just right.
You do want it just right, and that way you can spray it on and control the drift. And the drift is where the problem is. So that's where I'm watching Caroline do hand signals to.
I don't know what's up with the nose thing going on there.
Something about a mustache is what I'm
There's-
saying.
You knew it. Yes.
Anyway,
I
so
think Tyler threw it away.
Either doing that with a spray, or as Josh was alluding to, a direct apply wicking by using maybe put a dishwashing glove on first and put a cotton glove on over that, dip it into the solution and actually wipe it right onto the undesirable parts that you want to get rid of, and then you don't have it on your skin. You can take those off, wash your hands thoroughly, and you're all good. So
Yep.
Yeah. Also, if you're going to have to do that anyway, why not just get down there and pull that weed out of the ground?
That's
You know what
even better,
That's
yes.
even better. Pull it by the
I
roots as
agree.
much as you can. Get it before it goes to flower, because that's going to stop the seeds from happening. That will give you this problem next year. So getting on it and doing it now was the way to
Get
go.
on it.
any solution that
I'm
does
wanting to
not
get that root too, though. I mean, that's
Got
the
to.
thing. Yeah.
Well, any solution that does not involve the use of chemicals is a better solution.
Definitely.
It's just the way that it is.
Definitely. I pull weeds constantly, y'all.
Me
Everybody
too.
has to.
Yeah.
All the
If you
time.
want it clean, you gotta pull weeds.
You gotta work for it.
It's look at it as a meditation form.
It kind of is. You get down in there and you start weeding for 15, 20 minutes. You get in like this little lull. It's kind of like painting. You know, you don't ever want to start, but once you're getting into it, you kind of get into it, you know?
No.
So,
No.
you know,
No.
No.
I used to
I've
be a
painted
painter.
so many rooms.
Austin,
So
I know what
many
you're
walls.
talking
My
about.
wife's,
You know what I'm talking about.
My
Tom.
wife's a painter, but it's not walls.
Yeah.
It's
Art.
Little,
Pretty pictures.
She could do a wall.
She could do a wall.
She
Yeah.
could. I don't know that she will. But
It'd be
she could.
expensive for her to paint that wall that way, though, would
yeah, I've seen some nice mural work.
Yes.
All right. Hey, everybody. We got a
Hey.
really fun question.
Okay. Oh,
And now
that-
I know why this contractor comes into Bates Nursery as often as they do.
Oh.
They ask, is Austin single? He's so dreamy.
Oh my God. Who said this?
Mad landscapes.
Matt. Matt, what are you doing? Why are you asking questions this morning? You should be working. You need to
should
be
be
working. Get out here in the nursery, get your plants. You need to be working. Now, Matt Landscaping. You know, Matt's got a good design eye. I will give him that. He really
He likes you.
comes out. Well,
He does have it. Yeah, there it is. There's that good eye right
I
there.
like Matt too. He's a really, really good guy. He's a customer of ours and has been for a long time. And he does good hardscape work. I've seen him do some like fire pit areas, and his designs
Neat.
are creative. He's not just throwing hollies out there for you because they're cheap. You know, he's looking for some good stuff. So Matt Landscaping, thanks for that.
No two Nandinas and a silver maple from this guy, it sounds like. Right?
And Austin is decidedly unavailable.
That's right.
He married well. And he has 3 gorgeous daughters. So
No hall pass.
Sorry, Matt.
Nope. No hall pass.
All right.
You know,
What-
but I bet Matt uses Earth Mix.
He does.
he does indeed. And
does.
nice segue, Josh, because I've just lost all track of time
I
about
noticed.
what's going on.
We're just
and
having so much
thanks
fun.
for
I don't
somebody.
see a segue in here.
And let's talk about Earth Mix Garden products for a moment.
Okay.
It is 100% organic, made right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And not only does it meet that criteria, it also is the most highly productive growing medium you can find anywhere. And we have literally thousands of customers who can back that statement up. Excellent growing, no matter what you're
Nope.
using. If you're using Earth Mix Garden, for
Yep.
instance, by the way, you'd use Garden for what?
The garden.
Garden, yes. It's a very good,
Yep.
ready to use soil right out of the bag.
Yep.
Earth Mix Garden, or maybe you're planting around your house. You're doing some landscaping. What product you would use for landscape?
Landscape.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So some of the names really kind of help suggest what you might
Yep.
use it for. Others are not quite as clear. Maybe Proganics I that Caroline would recommend for indoor plants.
Yep.
There's no peat in any of the
It's the Beatles, man.
Beetles. Okay.
No Pete.
No Pete Best. Gotcha. All right. I had to go. Boy, that one got. That was obscure. All right. But if you're serious about growing plants and not obscure references, you'll use Earth Mix Garden products for all those. And the network of wonderful Earth Mix suppliers, ever growing. We're really pleased to be able to show you. Go to the Find Earth Mix tab once you are at earthmix.com. and earthmix.net, I should say. And there you will find a complete list, all the pins around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, even into Indiana, in Ohio, and we've got have a new seller coming on in Memphis here in the coming days, so they'll be on board. So check those out. Either put your address in for turn-by-turn directions, or just zoom in from the map and find the location nearest you. Just remember this: success in gardening begins at the ground level. When you use Earth Mix Garden products, we really appreciate your support of our product. We never stop trying to improve it and making it the preferred blend of materials made right here in Nashville. Earth Mix. Thank you for that, and thank you, Josh, for reminding me.
I got to pick up some today because I got to get a Mommy's Day present.
Well, that's
Here we go again.
It's,
No,
well,
it's
no,
part
no.
of the kit. That's
For in Josh's realm, now Josh in the years past, for his dear bride Diana, who is a saint of a woman,
Really?
he's bought her bags of grass seed.
50-pound bag, man.
50, oh yeah, not a small one, a big bag. Fertilizer.
Yes.
I mean, so he's as thoughtful.
Aeration by the yard boy.
As thoughtful goes, he's
Yes.
somewhere on the scale. So I don't know where, but
There's a thought.
No.
yep. So
We'll talk about that in a little bit. So,
okay,
okay.
Caroline.
We
back
ready
to
for
you.
questions?
Yes.
Yes.
What kind of plants or shrubs, if any, can be planted near or over water lines? Soil is not great there. I need height, but don't want to compromise pipes.
What if it's? I mean, if it is a like a galvanized or copper or PVC line,
And it's solid.
and it's solid. Now PVC, you could make a case that perhaps the roots might move it a little bit, but if it's a solid line, it's probably going to have no impact. Now, where you might be thinking and where you could have concerns is if you have field lines on your overflow tank, if you're still on an overflow system, then you need to give it some consideration because number one, you've got to have something that can tolerate the amount of moisture that's likely to occur there. But if you plant something there that can handle that level of moisture, you can create the other problem, which I think they're alluding
Ruts.
to. You're going to have roots growing into it and perhaps potentially blocking that. So it's a bit of a slippery slope. You want to
Well, and you
get it
just need
far
to-
enough.
yeah.
Get it far enough away where you're downstream, where the water can flow to it, and you won't get those roots over into it. Weeping willows are the worst culprit.
Yep.
Because they grow very fast and they're like a magnet to water, so you cannot overwater a weeping willow. So that's the things I would be thinking about. Otherwise, you just don't want to break the line when you're
Digging the hole.
Yeah,
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I've done that, but
Yeah.
not with a galvanized. Not with a galvanized line, though.
No.
Because they're very tough.
They are.
Okay.
Tyler, do you have something?
Yes, there's a question that was asked to us a week or two ago, and I didn't get around to getting it, so I told them that we'd answer it on this episode. We wanted to plant some fruit trees, but no one in our family likes pears or apples. And what is a good suggestion?
Grow a peach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of other fruits you can
Figs,
grow.
plums.
Yeah, figs are
Ooh,
great.
figs are fantastic.
If they come back.
Mine's
They're
coming back.
They're all coming back.
Blackberries, blueberries.
Yes, the brambles, raspberries, those do great around here. All kids like raspberries and blackberries, right? I
Yep.
mean, I think so. A number of fruits you can grow. It doesn't have to be pears or apples. Pears or
yeah.
apples ain't even all that consistent around
No,
here. You know?
I have a
So-
pear and 2 apple trees,
I know.
and I don't like them.
I know our dear bookkeeper, Sherry Gray, brought in strawberries this week. Hope you guys in the room, I know you didn't
Yeah.
get any, Josh.
No.
But they
They were
were. I'm gonna go back to an Austin reference. They were money.
They were.
They were awesome.
I
They
had
were-
some myself, yes.
they were
Anything you
great.
pick out of the garden that you grow yourself
It's
is
just
just
yeah,
fantastic.
It is the way to go.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Okay, we have a rose question. So it does pertain to the freeze, but it's a climbing rose that was very, very old, gorgeous. It was trellised. Looks dead. It's coming back from the ground, but they're wondering if they should give it a chance and leave the dead-looking stuff up for a little bit longer in hopes that it will come back out. What is your advice?
No, probably not. I hate to say it. All
No.
the dead sticks that are above the ground are probably dead, like they look. Now, they are coming back from below the graft union, and this is what happens. I've got 4 different roses that are doing the same thing. So they died on top where this is hard to explain, but the roots
Got this.
roses are grafted onto a different rootstock. So what is down below in the ground is different than what's on top. And so a lot of the tops of our roses over this past winter died back, but they're coming back from that root system that's a different plant altogether. And what you get is this like dusky red kind of colored rose that I've got right now. They're blooming like crazy. They actually look really kind of good.
Yes, they do sometimes.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
So I decided to leave mine and let those be from down below because they're alive and they're a rose. They deserve to live.
To help people understand a little bit why don't they just grow it all the same?
Uh-huh.
And there's a
And-
good reason why not to.
There is, and that's because, as I've noticed with the roses that I've got now, is that the disease resistance is really in the bottom part of that, in the root stock of that plant. That's what we call it. The root stock is what we use. And there are some roses that use their own roots. They don't have to be
Right.
grafted at all. I've got one out of the 5 roses that I do have is called Iceberg, and that plant is not grafted at all. It's used on its own rootstock. So it died back from the top as well this year. I got all the sticks that were up have not come back, but it came back from its own root system, and like I said, it's its own root system, so
Right.
it's coming back true to type, and it's about to bloom. It's got like 4 different buds on it right now, really glossy foliage, and they're about to bloom white. White iceberg rose is a really, really disease-resistant, hardy rose, and like I said, it's coming back just fine, and it's going to be true to type and look really pretty soon. But the ones that didn't come back from the tops are coming back from the ground, and they're this this kind of reddish, not reddish, they're red for sure.
Yes.
But it's not like knock you down red. It's kind of just okay red.
Knock you down, red.
Knock you down.
Is
When's the
that a-
last time red knocked you down?
Well,
Josh?
Huh?
I'll tell you a rose
Rojo?
that will knock you down with its red,
Uh-huh.
What?
and it's my favorite red rose on the market. It's a little floribunda. It's beautiful. It's blooming right now. It's called Showbiz.
Showbiz.
Yeah, baby. It's the cleanest, most electric red I've ever seen.
It's
Now-
money.
Love it.
Is it a?
It's money.
It is
It's
money.
money. It's money.
Does it have it stay lower, or is it a more of a medium to upright?
I'd give it medium to upright. Yes, it is a floribunda, so a little bit smaller in nature, just in general, and hence the name floribunda. It's got flora in abundance, and there's a bunch. Like
Wow.
one stem will throw up like
That-
5 or 6 different blooms, and they're just this perfect red. It's a great.
It's as though someone coined that word.
Would that have been Jim Stevens that might have coined that word?
Jim Stevens? I don't know. Yeah, he's a guy. That sounds very familiar. Do we
A
we
former
hear that?
producer of the At Home Show?
Jim, are you there?
Jim?
I am here. How are you guys doing?
We are here. You are there.
Now tell us where you
I am,
are,
yes,
Jim.
I am over in the lovely UK,
Oh, wow.
just outside of
Now,
Manchester, England.
Is there a part of the UK that's not the lovely UK, or you are a giant of a man? Look
Yes.
at that.
There's a part that's much prettier. It's called Scotland.
Oh, okay. All righty.
But you're up. You're up.
You're on
approaching
the
there.
border there, aren't
You
you?
are a. You're fully.
Yeah, I'm up on the border. Yeah.
We've got a wonderful shot of you, fully kilted, ready to
Looming large over the countryside.
And you seem to be wearing a skirt in addition. No, I'm
Yes.
kidding.
You know, the best I found the best part about the kilt is that I don't have to worry about pulling up my zipper. You know, I don't get caught with that way at all.
Yeah, you know-
Ouch. Freedom, as they say.
So are you
Okay.
you over there to participate in a special event? Is that correct? Or you just
Yes.
or is wherever
you've
you
heard of him
are?
several times.
Yes.
Yeah, you've heard of him several times. He's been with me on a number of adventures. Gavin is getting married.
Wow.
Wow. So is
Okay.
this the
Yeah.
last big event,
Hoorah.
or is it just a formality? Is it a good excuse to go do something else?
Oh no, this is a big deal. This is a day we thought would never come. As a matter of fact, a long time ago, I bet him 25-year-old Scotch that he would never get married. So I'm out.
Wow. Well, you can get it close there.
Okay, so that the people who are watching and listening have some idea, who is this guy? Jim Stevens is a former producer of our program. I
Right.
mean, back 20 years ago, Josh.
Oh,
Back in the day.
yes.
Yeah,
and
back in the day. Yeah.
and Jim, he also worked for airlines for a lot of years, and he is a world traveler.
Yes.
He has called into our program from Chernobyl. Can you give us
Yes.
a rundown of where all you have called us from, if you can even remember?
Yeah, it's Chernobyl. I called from you from Australia. I called you from. I
Germany?
think I called you from South Africa too. Did I not?
Yes.
I think you
Germany,
did from
yeah.
Indonesia at one time, did you not? Were you somewhere?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe it was
Yeah, over in that area,
Micronesia. I don't.
Japan.
And he lives
Okay.
in Cleveland, so
Yeah,
he's
Japan.
called us from Cleveland, too. So,
Yeah, from Cleveland. Yeah, from real far away.
and Houston. And Jim has been known to do a little plumbing with backhoes.
Jim is a guy
That's
who has DIY without fear.
Mm-hmm.
He
I
has,
have chainsaw scars on my arms.
Yes.
but you know what? He's a guy who believes in learning by experience. Sometimes that experience is painful. I know there's a neighborhood in Spring, Texas that lost their power for a few days due to a mild little event. So it could happen to anybody.
Yeah,
right?
it happened
You
to
know,
anybody.
They didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you that
What's,
where you.
what's life without a few mistakes?
Yes,
You know?
I mean, and friends to bring them up. That's
We'll never forget, Jim.
Well, it's great entertainment, and the point of it is that you can make a mistake, and as long as you're relatively careful, you get to rectify that and live to tell another day. So you have been a good example of that, for certain.
Yep. So right now I'm traveling north on the M6. We came down to Manchester to pick up another good friend of ours by the name of Judith. She's from the Czech Republic. So this is turning into an international affair.
Very cool. Now, Jim, you're not seeing any nice gardens over there this spring, are you?
Say again?
You're not seeing any of the nice English gardens over there this spring, are you?
No, they're absolutely beautiful. The spring is in full bloom here. A lot of the tree blossoms are out and things like that. So it's absolutely gorgeous. It's certainly better than Cleveland.
Well, when I was up, the coldest I have been in quite a while was in late June in England doing garden tours. It was 50 degrees and a all-day downpour. That is cold. That makes the Earl Grey and the split pea soup taste even more delicious, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fortunately today it's sunny and it's pretty warm. We took a drive on the way down here through what's called the Lake District. It's a national park, and absolutely gorgeous. It's lakes surrounded by small mountains about the size of the Appalachians.
Wow!
So absolutely fantastic drive.
Well, Jim, we really appreciate you calling in this morning and adding another location to the World Traveler status. That is Jim Stevens, World Traveler, Project Man, you name it, he does it all.
Hey, if you see him, say hi to Chuck and Camilla, okay? I know they're probably coming to the wedding, right?
Every time I've been over here, we went to Balmoral, the Queen was down in London. We went to London, the Queen was up in Balmoral. They dodge me every time I come over here.
Wow. What are you going to do, Jim? What are you going to do?
All right, Jim. All right. Great to hear from you.
Congratulations
this morning,
to the lucky couple.
Nice to talk to you guys. Enjoy. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, yeah, we're going to get you in the Music City and perhaps in studio.
Oh, Lord.
At some point.
Oh, wow. Is he still going to wear his skirt?
Remains to be seen. Okay. Subject to be revealed at some, or not revealed.
No, don't reveal that
reveal. Hey, let's talk for just a moment. I know we've got more questions to go here, but we're going to talk for a moment about where we are. That's Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And we appreciate all the moms out there. Yep. And if you appreciate your mom as you should appreciate her, do something for her. Maybe it's getting out and helping her work in her garden. Maybe she needs a little something to add to her garden.
I know somebody who needs a ginkgo tree.
Well, I know somebody who sent a link out to somebody so they would know what somebody had in ginkgo trees. So all those things said, that place, by the way, is Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where we are right here. On weekends, we have our website shut down just for a short period of time. This has been a very challenging spring. However, I have it on reliable information that gift cards can still be purchased on there. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, so the store is open.
Yes.
However, we're processing plant orders on Monday. So if you place an order online on our store, just know if it's not gift cards, it will be pulled Monday.
Okay, so anyway,
come out here.
What the problem of it is that it's hard to sell the same thing more than once. And gift cards, there's no real inventory on. They're created on demand.
Yep.
Whereas plants cannot be done that way. So if somebody buys one online and then somebody picks it up here on the lot before we can pull the order, well, there's where the problem is. So just be mindful of that.
We always say 48 to 72 hours is a good window for us to complete filling your order, and do not come to the nursery immediately after placing your order. As much as we would love it to be ready, it's just not a likelihood right now.
It just doesn't happen. And because we've got people who are making the effort and coming in, we're really appreciative of that. Yes. So we do give them priority because they're here and they're coming equipped with photographs. And no matter who you run into, whether it's Austin or Shannon or Adam or Steve or Ryan or any of our landscape professionals out on the lot, they're all going to give you a help, direction,
Yep.
help you to assure that you can get the right plant in the right place the first time. That's the way we tried to do it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center since 1932. That's 91 years we've been doing this, and we're privileged to be a part of the Middle Tennessee, Nashville community, and I am privileged as a business owner to have a staff that I feel is second to none. And you got a good representation of it right here in studio. And no matter who you talk to around our facility here, I think you're going to be really impressed with
Absolutely,
the
you
level
will.
of expertise we have available. And if by chance you run into somebody who doesn't have the answer, they're trained to say, I don't know, well, we can find out for you. So that's the way we try to do it here at Bates
Radio
Nursery.
check.
Now,
Hey, they got
a lot of
all
that
the
going
tools,
on.
all the communication devices, everything you need. You're in and out when you need to be here.
Now we got a whole lot of gift type things
Yes.
for moms. Always, if you're looking for maybe peonies in bud and bloom, if you're looking for hydrangeas in bud and bloom, if you're looking for roses in bud and bloom, hanging baskets, and it doesn't matter whether it's rain or shine. We're going to be here. We have continuous covered structure from the checkout area all the way down to the back of the greenhouse, so you can stay comfortable and dry and not really worry too much about the rain. It may be a little loud when it's raining, because there were times yesterday when that beating down rain on the greenhouse covers is a little loud. So
Yes.
just be prepared to think and not talk, perhaps, for periods of time. But it looks like the rain's going to hold off today, so come on out and
Good.
see us. One final thing I'll mention is I do this weekly blog, and if you go to our main page and you scroll down, you'll see that it is right there if you want to sign up for the newsletter. And if you do that, you'll receive it every week. And if you go down just a little bit further, you'll see the blog is right there. So this week I talked about the tirelessly thoughtful Anna Jarvis, and she actually was the one who, interesting, it's a quick little story. She was the one who really petitioned hard for there to be a Mother's Day, to remember moms, and she worked, and she finally got this thing to happen where they made it an official holiday. And then companies started, commercializing it, like, for Mother's Day cards and candy and that kind of thing. So then she
Flowers.
tried to get it repealed because she didn't intend for it to ever be a commercialized thing. So anyway, regardless of how you observe it, please keep your mom in mind. And we appreciate you coming out to see us here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. So thank you for giving us a moment and thinking of your mom this weekend. That's an important thing. So
Yeah. And you know what else is important?
What's important?
Well, we got to know what's in bloom with Austin.
What's in bloom?
hey, we already talked about one.
Yeah, we did.
That's
Kousa
right.
Dogwoods. A whole lot of perennials are in bloom right now. So we've all got a whole bunch. The echinacea, the catmint, dianthus, clematis, salvia, red hot poker. What y'all know about red hot poker?
Nymphophia.
Nymphophia. It's kind of cool. It's blooming right now. I've got one in the yard. I got it for my. You know what? I got it for my wife. On what was that?
Mother's
That
Day.
was Valentine's
There
Day.
actually
Wow.
is
2 years ago.
There actually is a golden red hot poker also, isn't
There
there?
it is. Yeah, there's a yellow one. Uh-huh. So those are in bloom right now, like I said, because I've got one in my yard. Baptisia is still blooming. If y'all ain't growing Baptisia, you need to. We've got a nice shipment in yesterday of them, actually, and they look really good.
Feels
Mine
like
is
new
a shrub.
colors.
Mine is 5 feet tall.
Wow.
New colors arrive every year.
It's
it seems
wild.
Like. It's
I'll take a
pretty cool.
picture.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, it's a great perennial to grow. Like David said, Kousa Dogwood's certainly in bloom. I sent a picture over to Tyler. I don't know if he can get it up or not, but he did.
Oh, look at that.
That is my Chinese fringe tree,
Yep.
y'all.
Chionanthus.
Oh, I love it so much. It is beautiful. I mean, it is full shade. This is the best year I've planted it. This is its third spring with me now, and honestly, it always seems like that third year is whenever you really see, what it's going to do and how it's going to be. It is beefy, y'all. It's a really good. I got it at the
And-
very corner of the home.
And having favorable weather conditions really helps a lot also. When you've had a cool, extended spring like we've had this year, things that are coming into bloom hang around in bloom a whole lot better when it didn't hit 90 degrees too quick.
Most definitely. Yeah, that's been in bloom for a while, and it's not like slowing down at all. It took that rain the other night that we had. It was pounding rain on top of those blooms. it shook it off, and they keep showing off. So yeah, Chinese fringe tree, it's worth growing. Not a crazy big. It's very similar to a dogwood, like in its size. That's kind of what it wants to do.
My daughter inherited one in her new home, and it's absolutely money too.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
They're absolutely great. One really big one that's going off right now is peonies. All of your peonies are looking good right now. I'm sure of it. And then last but not least, I'm going to talk about our state tree, the tulip poplar. It is in bloom right now, and you don't even really notice it because it's such a large growing tree, but they've got these tulip-like blooms that sit amongst the foliage that point upward. They're yellow. It is our state tree, and it is gorgeous right
If you're
now.
a drone enthusiast, you'll get to view them much better because they tend to flower in the top of these really tall, mature trees. They don't really flower when they're young.
Yeah, you don't notice it when they're young at all, and then they get big, and then you notice. I noticed a big one yesterday, and it was loaded with blooms, and I was like, oh, this is great. You know, what's funny about a tulip poplar is we call them a poplar. It's not a poplar at all,
Right,
actually.
it's a tulip
Totally
tree.
different genus, yeah. And it's actually in the magnolia family. It's much more closely related to a magnolia than it is a poplar tree.
lot of sense.
Lyriodendron.
Lyriodendron. There you go. It's like Lirio refers. I was looking this up last night. And Lirio, I think, refers more to like lily. So it's like a lily style bloom that points in that direction, and
Right.
then dendron just meaning tree. So like lily style tree is kind of what that means. So there you go.
More fun facts with Latin.
Hey, I
It-
love
it
Latin.
We're done math.
It
Now
is-
we've got
well,
language.
that's why I like talking about mondo grass. Another one of those Ophiopogon. Which is a goat's beard, and that's literally what that word means in Latin. Is the Ophio is the beard, and pogon is goat. So there's your
Wow.
little fun fact.
I love Latin.
Yeah.
All right, Josh.
Jumping back in here.
Jump in there and contribute anywhere you want to, Josh.
Latin's a dead language.
Well, okay.
Not in horticulture.
No, it's not.
We got an email from Horton.
Uh-oh.
Didn't Horton have like a Dr. Seuss book at one time?
Who?
You heard something.
Oh, you heard. Yeah, you heard.
Josh got it.
That's his lettuce. Is that?
So this picture was sent via info. They said it may have gotten cold and did that, or as wild new offspring keep letting it grow, you may have a new variety pepper. Here's a current picture I took this morning. The varmints are attacking this and my basil, but the question is about the variegated leaves on the pepper plant. What caused this?
Did he send this in to Paula at one point? Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this email, and I didn't know what to think about it. Because
Yeah.
there is peppers now that come in variegated, like variegated leaves. So I don't know where that came from. If he started it from seed, or if it's a genetic mutation, which happens sometimes. It's rare, but
Also
it does
got
happen.
slug damage on
Yes.
there. I
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
But that's really cool, and I told him to keep growing it because I really want to see how that's going to finish. So I do notice in the center of the plant where the new growth is actively growing, seems to be okay and plenty intact. Those newer leaves up top.
Now, I wonder if those variegated type peppers will produce a variegated fruit.
I know. That's what I'm wondering because the
Sweet and
variegated
sour?
plants- yeah,
Could be.
yeah. I mean, I've seen fruit that's got a variegation
Yes.
to it as
Yep.
well. So that's cool. Keep growing it. I know the little pest issues are an issue always. There's something, but try to keep it growing because we want to keep checking in on that. That's a cool little plant.
Cool. Very neat. Did we have some hollyhocks to show as well?
I think we do.
On our Saturday showdown. I don't have a song for it yet.
Well, that's okay.
That was gorgeous. You should just record what you just did.
Horton said those
And-
did come from seed, by the way.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So then
Yeah.
that's
and,
where the, that's where the genetics.
we'll just give a little background information on these hollyhock pictures that are coming up. Our longtime friend, Kim Bradley, who is
Kim.
You calling her old?
a longtime friend. I
Oh.
didn't say anything about her age.
Oh, okay. Good thing.
We
She'll
have known
smack
each
you.
other for a long time,
Yep.
and if you want to infer anything due to the condition that I'm in, age-wise,
Nope,
or
no, myself.
even increasingly more, you, Josh, you're not
Yes,
as
it's
young.
true. No.
Anyway, Kim is a dear friend and an avid
Master
master
gardener.
gardener, horticulturalist, and these are hollyhocks that she grew.
Wow.
and
Look at those masterful hollyhocks.
those are absolutely wonderful. And so big shout out to Kim Bradley. And she is a wonderful advocate of Earth Mix garden products, by the way. Those she told me are growing in Earth Mix. And so you see how
God,
wonderfully
gorgeous.
they're doing.
And
Absolutely.
Kim,
sweet.
look how clean the leaves are. That's
that's
rare. I mean, the blooms are one thing. You can have a beautiful blooming plant atop, and then down below.
Pests and diseases. So it doesn't keep all that away, but it does make it less of an issue. So good job, Kim.
Seriously.
And It's always great to hear from you, dear.
Those were gorgeous.
Hey, hollyhocks are in bloom too.
Yep.
Got
Obviously.
that one.
You figured that out,
Thanks,
Austin.
Kim.
Well,
Hey,
that-
Kim, we ain't seen you in a minute. Come on out to the nursery.
Hey, do you want to talk for a moment? We got a lot of tropical looking stuff around here,
Yes, we do.
Caroline.
Caroline.
Tell us what you did this morning, or when
Well,
you did it.
yesterday. This morning would have been too early for me. So on your side, I went with a little tropical houseplant theme. So if your mom is more an indoor gardener, I mean, we have so many houseplants here at the nursery. We've got some palms right behind you, which are a great lower light palm. So
Yes.
if mom doesn't know what kind of lighting she has,
The Anthobella's one of the
Anthobella's.
tried and true.
fantastic. And then behind you guys in those corners are Benjamina ficus, which have oddly been hard to come by in the last couple years.
And they're huge.
They're
They
huge.
are really upright.
And they have leaves all the way to the bottom of the plant. So great little privacy plant, too, if you need to.
What kind of
cover a
Dracaena we
window.
have right here? What
That's a lemon lime Dracaena.
is lemon lime.
Uh-huh.
It's a lovely.
It is lovely. And then we've got some bromeliad right there in the front. Yeah, thank you, David. Just showing that off. And then on this side, Austin actually styled this side today.
Stylized by Austin.
Yep.
Stylized by Austin.
And it's got
that's
boxwoods
right.
in it. How
Does it
cool
really?
is that?
Imagine that.
I went a little
Compactors?
formal, a little bit formal,
This is-
straight lines over
This
here.
is the
on
way
this
he
side
wished
today.
his boxwoods looked at home.
That's
wasn't it?
exactly right. But
what
what
it
you can
is.
see is, yeah, these boxwoods are green. At home, mine look dead, but I put plants around them to hide them a little bit. It's going to be great, y'all. It's going
What's
to be
in
great.
front?
It'll be fine.
Very front is creeping phlox, which is an
Wow.
old school perennial. Still actually showing some blooms around town.
Another
You
statement to mild, cool transition.
Yes.
They've hung around for weeks and weeks.
It's been a great spring for flowers. Great
Oh, yeah.
spring.
My
So-
yard looks amazing.
And then obviously caladiums out here in the front. It's a shade-loving foliage plant, just so good. There's so many varieties of it. Certainly worth growing. They love it hot. So if you know if you're
They
not
love
quite
it
ready,
hot, but not scorching.
but not sunny. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't put the sun on them.
There are some varieties that are more sun tolerant, but generally speaking, if you can get those out while it's still cool, they can adapt. They'll be a little more tolerant of sunlight. But Western exposure just is never going to be good for caladiums.
No,
So
you'll see real quick if you've got them in too much sun.
it'll scorch them.
Uh-huh.
They will go down. So let's get just a couple more questions
Okay.
in. Two more, actually. We've got a question about growing heirloom tomatoes. Somebody wants to grow them and just needs some tips on how to grow them.
All right. Well, heirlooms are no different than any other thing, except for they have a little bit less disease resistance. So they're not quite as easy to grow as hybrids are. Hybrids have a lot of vigor, and they've been hybridized to give you what you want. Heirlooms are old school. They are what they are, but there's nothing better than an heirloom tomato after you've grown it yourself. Just know, you're not going to grow it any differently than any other tomato. Just know that the amount of fruit production that you get is not quite as much. And they can be a little bit trickier when it comes to, like, say, pathogens, potentially. So,
Hornworms love them.
hornworms like hybrids just as much as they do
Yes.
heirlooms. They don't care about that. The insect pests are going to happen or not happen based
Right.
on, year to year. That's just part of it. But it's mainly more like disease issues. If you see if you have like an heirloom tomato and you see like the topmost part of the plant start to get spotty and black or even wilty or whatever, this is probably a potential blight that you need to take care of by mainly just removing the whole plant.
Yep.
And this does happen. But to avoid getting cross-contamination with your other plants, sometimes it's just better to cut your losses. I will say, don't just grow one heirloom tomato. Try to get get a whole bunch of tomatoes out there if you can. That'll just up your production and hopefully get you more
Well,
fruit.
plus there's so many to choose
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
Even if you have a favorite or two, it's a great opportunity to get to try a whole variety of them. And they're going to generally while many of them will produce throughout the season, your best production is going to be the early ones that come on. So. And of course, that also has to do with whether they are a determinate or indeterminate. And why don't you explain?
Hard
for
to
just
determine.
Well, no, Austin can determine. So you
I know.
tell,
Oh, yeah.
tell them what the difference is, Austin.
A determinate tomato has a determined size, pretty much, is what it's going to get to a certain size and then it's going to stop. We don't really want to prune determinate tomatoes all that much because they are already bushier in habit. They don't vine like an indeterminate tomato would, which is the biggest difference. So we're not really going to prune determinates. Fruit is going to all kind of come on all at roughly the same time over a period of like a month or two where you're going to have your harvest time. Indeterminate tomatoes, hence the name, they're not a determined size. They can be a vine. They can grow, if they're happy, tomatoes can grow 20 foot in length in a season if you wanted them to. So they're going to keep on growing. We are going to prune the indeterminate tomatoes a little bit to keep them in check if you can. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to, but it's helpful to prune them a little bit.
There you go.
Way into depth on this.
Quick question from Facebook. If you did hit dianthus, will it reboot?
Sometimes, and a lot of times it reblooms in the fall. Whenever the fall weather kind of mimics the spring weather, that's whenever you get some reblooming with the dianthus.
And there you have it, folks. Hey, great input from everybody.
Yes.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Austin.
Everybody on social media.
Thank you, Tyler, very much. Josh, thank you. And
Thank
Jim
you,
Stevens
David.
for calling in. We're all just thrilled to get to be here today. Come on out and see us. Take care of Mom.
Yep, because if you're going to buy her something, you have to dig the hole as well.
That's
a rule.
I think it's a good rule.
Yes, okay. All right, folks, next Saturday morning, we're going to come back and do another at-home program.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
Right here.
Go to the garden tour tomorrow. Okay?
1 to 4.
1 to 4, and go see what's going on.
Hillsboro, West End. Check it out.
Buy my daughter a drink, too, if you want to. See you next week.